Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on Director Amendments. My name is Shani Kelly, and I'm an education specialist from the Corporate Education Unit of the CIPC. I will be your facilitator today. Today's webinar will aim to provide clients with clarification on the Director Amendment automated process and to assist companies with challenges they may experience when using the system. Our presenter is Mr. Thomas Labete. He will be doing our presentation as well as answering questions. After the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. We will respond to these questions related to today's topics, which are posted under the comments section. For questions that are not related to the topic, please send an email to the relevant dedicated email address. A notice with the email address is available on our website. The recording of the webinar will remain on Facebook and YouTube should you wish to view it again. Please note as well that the presentation will be on the CIPC's website in a few days. I now hand you over to Thomas. Good morning, Thomas.
Well, good morning, Shani.
I hand you over. Please start your presentation.
Thank you so much. So we can move to the next slide so that I can start with the presentation. The reason why we decided to have this webinar is to try to assist our customers because we have find that they have got a lot of challenges with regard to the filing of the CR39 applications. So we just want to clarify some of the most frequently problems they encounter so that we can clarify moving forward, they will know precisely what is expected from there. So when you do the filing on the CR39, we have got two processes to file direct amendments, which is the automated process whereby the directors and the filer will receive the OTP, as well as the back office process whereby the application will be processed at the back office. So the OTP process only caters for the resignation and the appointment of a new director. So whenever you appoint or you resign a director, the affected directors as well as the filer will receive the OTP that they need to respond to confirm the change that is about to take place. So once they have responded to the OTP, the system will automatically approve the application. There is no human intervention in this transaction. So the second process is the back office process, whereby where you decide to file transaction in case there is a deceased director, you want to remove a director, the term has expired for the director, or there is a retirement of a director. So such applications will be channeled to the back office automatically once you have filed on the system. So when it gets to the back office, there are dedicated officials who deal with these applications on a daily basis, and then they will process your application, and then based on how you have submitted, then it's either the application will be approved or it will be rejected by the official at the back office. If it is rejected, they will tell you the reason why your application is being rejected. So when you receive that query, then you need to respond on the very same reference number that you have you have filed. You don't have to start a brand new application. So, but what is very much important is the verification process of the person who is going to do the filing. All the South Africans will be verified once by the Department of Home Affairs. And then if there is a foreign director, that director will go through our foreign assurance verification process that is conducted within CIPC. So you cannot file or you cannot proceed with any filing if you are not verified. So how the customer can obtain amended CR39 certificate. So we normally get questions that we have filed the application, but we are not getting the certificate back. So we don't know how to access it from the system. So the filer can access the reference number on the system and then open the application on the history part and then select download CR39 certificate. And then from there, you go and click on the reprint button. Then that certificate will be generated again. So that is how you need to access the certificate. If maybe you have filed and then you find that you didn't receive the certificate, this is the process that you need to follow. Then the second issue that we normally receive almost on a daily basis is the problem of the issue date, whereby you put in the customer will put in the issue date as it appears on the smart card or the green ID book, but the system doesn't recognize that issue date. So if you come across that situation whereby your issue date is not accepted by the system, then you can send the email to this email address with a clear ID copy displaying the person and the issue date so that we can verify from our side and see what is the correct verification, what is the correct issue date that you need to use, because sometimes you find that the issue date that is on the smart card is not the same that we can verify from our side. Then we will give you the issue date that you can use. Then once you put in that issue date, and then the application will move forward. And then now people also want to find how to appoint and resign a director. So this is the process that you need to follow. We have got the step-by-step guide on our website that you can follow in order to do the filing. But here, the filer must have the customer code and the password in order to file director amendments. And then once you are on the website, you will see there is a transact button on top of your screen. And then you need to click there. And then from there, you will go and select the more services button at the bottom of the screen. And then after that, you need to follow the steps as requested up until the end of the process. So once you have finalized your filing, the proposed change document will be sent to all directors, the filer notifying them of the change that is about to happen. So you don't need to respond on that proposed change. This is just a notification to tell you that this is something that is going to happen. So the OTP will be sent to the new director as well as the new director as well as the newly appointed director as well as the outgoing director. So once you receive the OTP, you will see there is a link on the email whereby you need to go and click, and then you will follow the process there, how to upload the OTP. So the OTP, all the OTPs need to be responded to. The one for the filer, as well as the new director and the resigning director, they must all respond to the OTP. So after you have responded to the OTP, the application will now be automatically approved and the new certificate will be generated. So if you fail to respond to that OTP, then it will come to a situation whereby it will expire after a certain number of hours that has been allocated, but we will get to that one when we move forward on the next slide. So the OTPs here, they are expected to expire after 96 hours, which means that if you don't respond after 96 hours, then the OTP will expire, and then that transaction will no longer be able to be processed. Then it will become null and void. Then you will have now to file the brand new application and get the new OTP. And then once you respond to the OTP, is then that the application will move forward. So if you find that the OTP has expired within after you have filed the application, and then there is a situation whereby the OTP shows that it has expired, whereas 96 hours has not lapsed. So if you come across that situation whereby the system shows that the OTP has expired after you have just finalized the application, then you can send the email to this email address so that we can escalate it with the IT, and then they will update the application, and then you can now proceed with the filing under that very using the same OTP that was sent to you earlier on. So the contact details updated, but the OTP still go to the old contact. So here we find a lot of people complaining that we have updated the contact detail, but the OTP still goes to the old number. Once the contact details are correctly updated, the OTP will go to that contact number. There is no way out. So you need to follow the step-by-step guide until the end of the process, whereby you will be required to confirm that the contact details are changed. Because if you don't receive the OTP when you do the change of contact details, it means that you didn't follow the correct step. Then the contact details will not be updated. Because I think the mistake that normally committed by the customers, people will go and update the contact number on the profile, and then expect that the OTP will be sent to the number that they have changed on the profile. So these are the two different processes. The profile part is something else, and the director amendment update is something else. So on the director amendment, you will get the OTP to confirm that you have changed the contact details. If you don't get that OTP, it means that you didn't do it correctly. So the contact details will not be changed. So you need to get the OTP, and then after that, that will be the confirmation that the contact details have been updated. So only the affected director can update his contact details, which means that one cannot log into CIPC website, go and update the contact details of the next person. The system will not allow you. So once you have logged in, the system will only allow you to go and update your contact details. When you try to update the contact details of the next person, then it will be grayed out. It won't allow you to do that. So we did this so that we can avoid the hijacking of companies. So the filer can update that information only if he has been given the instruction by the owner of the contact details to file on his behalf. Then, which means that I will give the filer my login details, and then he will log in as if it's me, and then from there update my contact details. Other than that, I cannot simply go into the system and update the contact details of the next person. So the danger of sharing login details with the other person. So this is a very major concern because we find a lot of people find that their contact details have been updated and then they didn't consent to that update. So we just want to inform our customers that it is the responsibility of the customer code holder to keep his login details safe and do not share this with anyone. Because if one accesses your contact details, then they can go and log in as if it's you. They will change your contact details first, and then later they appoint themselves and resign you as the director. So CIPC will send the OTP to the new contact details that has been updated. And then once he responded to the OTP, because now the OTP has been channeled to his own email address or the cell phone number. So you will be officially resigned as a director, and it may take some time maybe to find out that you are no longer a director in your company. So you find that sometimes you will realize after a month or after 2 months that you have been resigned as a director. So by that time, you'll find that fraudulent activities have taken place, and then like the funds at the bank, you find that they have access to the funds and then they withdraw the funds. So it is very much important to ensure that your customer code and the password are kept safe so that no one can access and use them to do unauthorized filing in your company. So the foreign assurance verification approved, but not able to file direct amendment. So we normally get these kind of questions that I've done the foreign assurance verification, but when I try to do the filing, the system doesn't allow me. So the system is expected to allow those who did foreign assurance verification to proceed and file direct amendments. So if you encounter the challenges, then you are welcome to send the email to this email address with the passport copy so that we can assist you from our side and see what is the issue there. Then we can take it from there and help you to do your filing. So we also have customers struggling to correct information in case the mistake is committed. Yeah, in this case, in terms of correction, the only thing that we can correct on our side is the format of the ID if it was typed incorrectly, meaning that the format of the ID is not the South African standard. For example, you find the ID ends with 000 at the end, or maybe you have captured wrong ID number under the wrong person. So that one we can be able to correct from CIP side, but we cannot say we will correct the ID where you have captured the wrong ID copy. So that one you will have to use the step-by-step guide, whereby you will have to go and update the new ID number or using that step-by-step guide. So on the website, that functionality is there. You can access it, and then you can be able to change the ID number. So customers not able to add second name of the director on the system. So we normally have this kind of queries whereby the company has been registered, and then they find that now the director appear with only one name, and then when they go to the bank, and then they have got some challenges because they need all the names to appear on the document as well. So we have got the step-by-step guide whereby you can go into the system. The step-by-step guide is this one: update name and surname of South African ID holder, so that you can be able to include the second name. But the catch up here is that you are not going to type in anything. What you need to do when you got to this step 11 on the guideline, then you will see this button, DHA full name update. Then you need to click on that button. Once you click there, you may proceed with the rest of the filing. Remember, here is the filing. There will be no change automatically. You are still doing the filing. Then you will need to proceed with the filing up until the end. And then once you have received and responded to the OTP, then the certificate will be generated. Now it will come with additional name that was missing, because this is the record from the DHA. So by clicking on the DHA full name update button, the Home Affairs will provide the record as they have on their side. And then once the application is approved, and then the name that was missing will now appear on the certificate. So the process to amend appointment date. So this is a problematic situation whereby you will remember that when the person is appointed, the company will take the resolution that we are appointing this director on this date. But when they do the filing, you find that they capture the wrong date that is not similar to the one on the resolution. So that becomes a problem, because the resolution has been taken And then now they are coming back and say the appointment date is wrong. So in this regard, so the customer will have to file the CR 168 asking CIPC to cancel that transaction at all. And then once they have canceled the transaction, they can file a brand new one now with the correct appointment date. I think it needs to be very much clear here, because the application will be reversed in total, which means that anything that was done under that reference number will have to be reversed. And then you will start a brand new transaction whereby now you are going to use the correct appointment date for that director. So we have the resigned directors not responding to the OTP. So we also have a lot of challenge with regard to this concern, because the director resigned, but the company is not getting the OTP from that person. So in this situation where the director has resigned but is not responding to the OTP, the company may file an application to remove him as a director. Not to resign, to remove him as a director. So you need to provide the company resolution explaining why you are removing a director who resigned, because maybe he's no longer be traceable, and then he's no longer available to take your calls. So you need to indicate that in the resolution that we are removing a resigned director who is no longer able to respond to the OTP. So once you have filed that application, then we will examine it, and then we will read your resolution and see what you are explaining there. Then we will take the resolution as it is, as long as you have also attached the resignation letter of that director. Then the application will be approved. But remember, it will be approved with the wrong status of removal. So once the application is approved, we will later on change that status from remove to resign, because this is actually the resignation of a director. But due to non-response of the OTP, you have filed it as if the director is being removed, whereas he has resigned. So once the application is approved with the status of removal, then we will convert that to status of resignation. So people also want to know how to cancel the transaction that is in process due to error made. Yeah, the company can provide resolution stating the reason for canceling the application. Once we receive that cancellation letter, the application will be terminated at the back office so that the company can be able to file the new transaction. So we also have a challenge whereby people want to know how to change the passport to SAID number. So we also have the step-by-step guide on the website to update the passport. So if you remember, when you do the filing, if you go and indicate that you are using South African ID, then you can change to the passport, and vice versa. If you are even using the passport, then you can change to SAID using the same step-by-step guide. But you cannot change South African ID to another South African ID unless the format of the South African ID is not correct. And then that is what we can correct, as I have indicated in the previous slides, whereby you find that the last 3 digits, for example, are incorrect, and then they don't comply with the standard of South African IDs, is then that one can be corrected for you. So the company, you find that the company that you want to make amendments on, it doesn't appear on the screen. You have filed your application, and then when you get to associated company information, you find that the company that you need to do amendment on doesn't appear. Sometimes you may find that there are companies that appear there, but the one that you need to make amendment on doesn't appear at all. Then what you need to do, you need to go and click on the continue button on the very same screen. You just click continue. The next page that will come, you will see on the right hand side, there will be a facility criteria information, and then under that facility criteria, there's a space block whereby you can type in the registration number that you need. And then once you have captured that registration number, the company that you want to make amendment will appear. And then you need to be very careful when you do the typing of the registration number, because if you start the registration number with a K, then at the end, you don't need to put 07, because if you put 07, then you'll get the error message. The error message. It will show there is a validation error. So if you start the registration number with a K, then it must be a K 2000 1 2 3 4 5 6. Then you omit 07. But if you start with the year, you say 2010 1/2/12345/6/07, because if you omit 07, then the system will not be able to pick up the company that you want to file. So this is how you need to type in the company registration number in that block. Once you have captured the number, and then you go and click on the search button. Once you click the search button, you will see on the left-hand side, the company that you want to amend will appear. And then from there, you may proceed with your filing up until the end. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for that. Okay, now we will continue. Thank you for that informative presentation. We will now continue with the questions. We see Martin has already put his question on our section. How do we apply for the removal of a director if we don't have the death certificate, but we have the master's file number of the deceased?
Yeah,
Thomas?
you see, yeah, this is a serious concern, because if a person passed on, we need to have a proof that this person is normal. CIPC cannot risk to register a person as a deceased without a proof that the person is normal. So we need to get the death certificate. Maybe the person can approach Home Affairs to get assistance with that document, so that CIPC can be able to record that person, knowing that there is a proof that the person is normal. So the death certificate is required in this regard.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our next question is, what happens when the person filing on behalf of the company no longer has contact of the resigned director, even though all the necessary documentation is available?
Where the person filing on behalf of the company no longer has contact of the resigned director.
Yes.
In this regard, I think the person who resigned, I don't know if maybe I will put it the way she's expecting a response, because she's the person who did the filing on behalf of the company, and then they no longer has the contact details of the resigned director. So if they have got the letter of resignation, as I've indicated in the previous slides, then they will have to remove that person. And then when they submit the supporting document, they will also include the resignation letter of that person, so that when we process the application, we will process it as a removal, but later on the status will be changed from removed to resigned. So I don't know if maybe I've answered your question.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay.
Yes.
Zanele, if you do not understand, you can just come back to us and we can try to explain it again to you. Okay, our next question is, what do we do when a director of the company is no longer contactable? They have just left and changed all their details.
Yeah, in this case, there is no way that these directors will resign. So the only option available is to remove them. But the process of removal will also be required. But because in this case, these directors are no longer contactable, you cannot invite them to come to the meeting to remove them, maybe under Section 71 requirement, then we will need a company resolution explaining the reason why they want to remove these people, because they cannot hold the company to a ransom whereby the company is no longer able to trade due to unavailability of these directors. So the directors will have to be removed, but the company needs to provide the resolution explaining the reason why they have decided to remove these directors, so that even in future when they come back, because it might happen that a person may come back and said, no, who removed me? So we will have the company resolution that will protect us to say, you have been removed because the company tried to get hold of you to no avail. So they finally took the resolution as a company to remove you as a director for the progress of the company.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next question is also regarding director resignation. The effective date on the proposal for change reflects the date of the appointment instead of the date of resignation. I have brought this to your attention with zero feedback. The client refuses to provide OTP because of that date.
The director resignation, the effective date on the proposal for change reflects the date of appointment. The proposal date that they are referring to, because here, if I understand it correctly, there is an appointment date that is now used as a resignation date. I don't know if maybe I got it correctly. The effective date on the proposal for change reflects the date of appointment instead of the date of resignation. Yeah, I think here is just a mix up of the dates that need to be corrected maybe from our side, so that the application can reflect the correct information as far as the resignation date is concerned.
Okay, that's quite simple. Thank you so much. The next question is it possible to only have the OTP sent to one director if others have verified OTP and one remains?
The OTP, remember, it is only sent to those directors who are affected by the change. We don't send OTP to all the directors within the company. So only those directors who are affected by the change, they will receive the OTP and then they will respond on the OTP. So only those who are affected by the change are the one who is going to receive the OTP.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next question is, can CIPC allow for manual filing of directors who have resigned, especially in situations where the OTP is going to a number that the director no longer goes to the director?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't accept manual application anymore since December last year. If a person has resigned, as I've already indicated in the previous slides, if a person has resigned and then now they are not able to get hold of that person to respond to the OTP. What they need to do is to file director amendment to remove that person. So once, remember, they need to also indicate in the company resolution why they are removing the resigned director. So they will give their reasons why they are removing this resigned director. Maybe it's because he won't be able to respond to the OTP. Then they also need to submit the resignation letter of that person to prove that he did resign. And then once we receive the application, it will go to the back office, whereby it will be processed, approved. And then once it is approved, because it will be approved with the removal status, so that status will be changed from removal to resignation.
Thank you, Thomas, for that. I followed the step-by-step guide and I am still not succeeding in changing the contact details. I have raised this concern with CIPC.
If you have correctly followed the step-by-step guide to update the contact details, at the end of the process, you will receive the OTP that you need to respond to confirm the change of contact details. If you don't respond to the OTP, then the update of contact details will not be affected. Or sometimes you find that a person, as I've indicated before, that the person will update the contact details on the profile, which is a separate process to the director amendments. But if you have done update of contact details on the director amendment portal, then and received the OTP and responded to the OTP, there is no way that the update of contact details will be affected. It will be affected, and then the OTP will go through to that contact number that have been updated.
Okay, thank you for that answer.
Can I make a small correction? There is no OTP on the contact detail update. So contact details, you'll just get a notification. If you followed the step-by-step correctly, you'll get a notification on the new email address as well as on the old email address with a reference number. That will be an indication that the contact details have been updated. So if you received the reference number and the message that the contact details have been updated successfully, but they are still not updated, you need to call our call center or Thomas, and then we can assist. But there's no OTP in that process. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question that we have is, if I have all the required documents, including the signed mandate, why am I not allowed to change the contact details of the director who gave me the mandate?
Tivo, I don't know if maybe you can take this one as well.
No, this one is a business question. So the contact details can only be changed by the impacted director. I think you have answered that question. We are trying to ensure that companies are not hijacked. So the director that is impacted is the one that must have a customer profile. If they don't, they need to register a customer profile and then change their own contact details. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Our next question is for Melissa Fourie. One of my directors is a US citizen and his details are incorrect on the system. So he will not receive the OTP in order for me to resign him. How do I go about having his contact details changed? Will I follow the same process of having his director create a profile and input his information? Will CIPC be able to verify his and his wife's ID number and date of marriage as he's a US citizen? If I can't use this process, how do I go about changing his details? That's quite a mouthful. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take one question at a time, right?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
he said
Come again?
she said he's a director, but he's a US citizen. And his details on our systems are incorrect. And he does not get the OTP PIN. So how does she go about changing his details? His contact details.
Yeah, I think the process is the same. The affected director who need to update the contact details will have to update his own contact details, unless if maybe that person gave his contact details to the next person to do the filing on his behalf, then that person can go and update his contact details. But other than that, no one can log in using his own personal login details, but go and change the contact details of the next person. The system will not allow that.
Let me just come in. So this person is a US citizen.
Yes.
So they need a customer profile. Before they do a customer profile, they will need to do the foreigner verification process. After they've done the foreigner verification process, they can then do the registration of the profile, which will verify that registration against what has been approved on the foreigner verification process. If this person already has a profile and it doesn't work, they need some contact details changed on the profile, then they need to submit the password reset form. And then we can do that on the profile so that they can reset their password if that is the issue. But once they have an active profile, that person can then go onto the company on the contact details menu and update their own contact details. But the key here is that the foreigner verification process must be followed in order for them to have a profile. And date of marriage and all of that is only applicable to people with South African IDs. And it is only applicable for the filer. So this is how we verify the filer. So if they are trying to file and they have a South African ID, it will ask some pertinent questions that only they will know. But if they are a passport holder, they need to go through the foreigner verification process, and those questions of marriage date will not be asked.
Okay, thank you so much for that that answer. Okay, I see Lorette is back. If the wrong date was used and you need to file a new application, why must I wait 5 days for the wrong application to expire first? Code 39 applications are urgent and the documents are required in order to trade. Thomas, are you taking
remember when you do the filing? Yeah, remember when you do the filing, there is a the turnaround time for the OTP. So once you have filed the application and then you find that you have put in the wrong information, then it becomes a problem. But you will need to wait for that period so that you can be able to file the new one. Because if you can try to file the new application, and then the system will show you that there is still a pending application in progress. So, which means that you cannot do another filing before that one can be sorted out. So that is how the system has been built. Then you will have to wait, and then after that period has expired, is then that you can be able to file the new application.
Thank you, Thomas. Our next question. Who do we send the application for the removal of director who is not responding to OTP? And there are resolutions confirming the resignation.
Who do we send the application for the removal of a director who is not responding to OTP, and there are resolutions confirming the resignation? the application, when you do the filing, and then you indicate removal as the status of the director. So the system automatically will channel that application to the back office. So which means that we are not going to use the OTP to finalize the application. So the application will go to the back office to be processed. So, but before it goes there, the filer of that application must respond to the OTP sent to him. And then once the OTP is responded, and then the OTP, I mean, the application will go into the processing queue of the back office. Because the guy who is not responding, there is nothing that we can do if he's not responding. But remember, if he is now being removed, then the application will have to go to the back office for processing, and then together with the resolution that states why they are removing a resigned director.
Okay, the next question. Status changes from removal to resignation is not an automated process. Is this something that can be rolled out in future? Removing the requirements for filters to apply to disclosure unit to update the status from removed to resigned. I think she just wants to make some changes on our system with regard to the status of each director. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yes, once you've started an application, it goes to the back office, and then the back office rejects that application. That application will be awaiting rework, meaning the back office has requested for rework, and therefore after it has been reworked, it will still go back to the back office for conclusion. So it will not be a OTP process for a reworked application. It will still go to the back office.
Thank you. Our next question from Sheila Fente is, please advise specifically what documents are required to submit when removing a deceased director. She wants to know the documents that are required that she needs to upload if she's removing a deceased director. Thomas, can you take that question? Okay, I think there seems to be a problem on getting hold of Thomas. Tebogo. Okay, let's try this question. Does the system recognize foreign contact numbers in case the director is a foreigner? I think we got gremlins in our system.
I think, okay. Yes, we do send SMSs to international numbers, but there are some jurisdictions, for example, that do not, like Dubai, for example, is one of them, where they do not accept SMSs from our bulk service provider. But yes, you can use your international number. In majority of the jurisdictions, you will get the SMS.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next question. I think we're almost at the end. Okay. If outgoing directors have resigned but have not signed resignation letter, they left the business on good terms and are not contactable to retrieve OTPs, will a back office application be processed successfully if the active director provides an affidavit?
No. if they have not signed resignation letters, then that's a removal process.
Okay. Yes, that does make sense. Okay. Our next question is, with CIPC's inquiry not functioning, change the ID number is wrong and the names and the address are correct. How do I fix it?
Yeah, so like it was said, if the format of the ID number is correct, meaning it is a recognized ID number, but it does not belong to this director, then the only way to fix that is a 168 for the reversal of the transaction. However, reversal is within 10 days from when the changes were approved. So if you are past the 10 days, your 168 will no longer be applicable. Therefore, the only way to do this would be to resign that director and to appoint them again with the indication of the correct appointment date. So for example, if this person was active from 1 January 2001, you will resign them and you appoint them again with an appointment date of 1 January 2001, for example.
Okay, thank you for that. We are experiencing challenges with updating some directors. As CIPCs, these directors have changed their ID numbers with the Department of Home Affairs, and they deny having changed their IDs. How do we go about around this? So the directors changed the ID numbers with some directors.
Yeah, that for me doesn't make sense. So if a director has, for example, a person was a refugee and they have that status in the country, after a certain point in time, their ID number changes. They are given permanent citizenship or whatever the case may be. In that scenario, because the initial ID was a correct format, meaning it is a valid ID number, the only way to fix that would be to resign that director and to appoint them again with the new ID number.
Okay. Our next question. It's not the ID number that has changed. It's the green ID numbers to card.
No, there's no issues there. If your ID number stays the same, so the issue there might be the issue date. And if the problem is the issue date, in that the issue date on the card does not match the information that we have on the DHA system, then you will need to contact Thomas, and then we will provide you with that issue date. But that is based on you give us a copy, certified copy of your ID indicating the front and the back, and then we'll be able to fix that for you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay. Our next question is, majority of the directors have made a resolution to remove a director who resigned in March, but would not make any contact anymore. What documents do we need to remove the director, as we have her resignation letter, but she won't respond to OTPs?
Yeah, if the resignation letter is signed, they can submit that application as a removal, and they will attach that signed resignation letter, certified copy of the ID of that person, and the resolution, as well as the mandate if the submitter the filer is not a director of the company. Then the back office will assess based on that resignation letter, and after approval, they will then change the status from removal to resigned.
Okay, I think that was the last question that we had. There's no other questions that's there. Tebogo and Thomas, thank you so much for all your assistance with answering our questions and the presentations. We have come to the end of this webinar. We hope you find today's webinar of value and that it will assist you to make your work much more easier. Thank you for joining this webinar.